material fact? And obviously we're talking that, one, because it's one of the topics in the compulsory CPD classes, and we're getting lots of questions about that, and certainly the feedback from students in class. And that question around suicide, around where it happened, all those, do you need to disclose it, natural cause of death? Obviously, if it's the result of a violent crime or manslaughter, yes, that's legislated that needs to be disclosed if it's occurred in the last 5 years. Where do we go on from there? So they're the discussions that we have around here in the office. They're also the discussions that we're covering in our CPD classes, and how you look at that and how you take it that step further and look at Australian consumer law and look at those which obviously trumps Property and Stock Agents Act, and we have to look at the misleading and deceptive clauses in there. So lots of issues to look at, but let's look at a specific scenario. And this one was raised this week. It was topical. There was a murder in a car park in the eastern suburbs in a strata building. And so, of course, unfortunately, some of the trainers here didn't immediately go to the actual news story and what it was about, and the backstory of, one partner killing another partner, and, being a domestic violence issue, and all of those very also topical issues. It was about, is that material fact? So it's, we all, sort of thought, that's where is our thinking when that's our first point that we think of. But we did. And there was a discussion that was had, and a couple of other people chimed in on the discussion around, it didn't happen in the apartment. So if somebody was selling that apartment or releasing that apartment, would you, and where the person that belonged to the person that passed away, would that need to be disclosed? Well, and then we took it that one step further. Well, it didn't happen in the apartment, so would you still need to disclose it didn't happen there? I think we're splitting hairs about, it's about, where the actual act of violence took place. But then to take that one step further, this was a strata building. It happened in the car park of the strata building. Therefore, when you buy strata or occupy strata, so take a lease. So it didn't matter whether it was whether it's going to be a sale or a lease. If you're doing that, then you are purchasing or occupying the space within that lot, so the actual apartment, so the cubic air space, but you're also occupying or owning, one proportion or one portion of every bit of common property. So if it happened on common property, you are lot 6 in, strata plan 789 fold 5, whatever the strata plan is. So, it is something, it's relative to that apartment, it's relative to that strata plan. So that actually becomes even wider. So if it's not just the people from that apartment, it's if any other apartment in that strata plan were to sell or release in the next 5 years, you've got a material fact. So, it's those sorts of scenarios that you have to look at. And on that point, it's where you sit back and you talk about it in your office and you say, where do we all sit with this? And apart from the fact that that's strata, now if it had happened and it had been in the street, again, are we splitting hairs with, the actual act of violence occurred in a property? So you take a normal Torrens title property and the person died on the street or died on the way to hospital. The act of violence occurred at the property. So again, you've got to be careful about how you're analysing and splitting hairs, because yes, we do have to act in the best interest of our principal, so our vendor or our landlord. But under the rules of conduct, so Schedule 1 of the Property and Stock Agents regulations, there's actually acting, giving skill, care and diligence, and acting in a professional manner. So there's a number of the different rules in there, or the clauses in there, that we would need to follow, where you are actually acting in the best interest of all your clients, not just your vendor or your landlord. So guys, be really careful about what is material fact and what isn't. Yes, we have a better definition than we've ever had since 2005, when we first got the concept of material fact into property law. But Now it's better, but there's still some grey. There's always going to be grey because we're dealing with people and instances. So, and it's what one person wants to know or cares about, the next person will not. So you do need to look at that very carefully. You do need to look at every single case as a single case, and you need to look at who's coming through and purchasing your property. So about whether you need to disclose an issue. And as I said, we've got a better definition, we've got timeframes, we've got specific issues, and now it's about disclosure. So hopefully, there's a little bit of clarity there. We certainly explore that in way more depth in our compulsory CPD classes. Certainly becomes a very hot topic of discussion, and we get some good results out of that.